Alright everybody, welcome back to the channel and welcome to today's video. In today's video, we'll be going over a filament dryer from our good friends over at Sunlu. Now Sunlu sent this to me for free to review, but they haven't had any editorial control or anything like that over the content. So in today's video, we'll be going over their Filadryer S4. Now they have a two spool dryer and this S4 that I guess is supposedly supposed to do 4 rolls. Now they did send this to me and I got it within a week of them sending it to me, which I thought was really cool. It got here really fast. So in today's video, we'll go ahead and unbox this. We'll go ahead and put everything together and see how hard it is to do that. Does it come pre-assembled? We'll see what the assembly of it looks like. Then I have a couple of rolls of filament that need drying so we can do a multicolor print, and we'll go ahead and get those drying. We'll see what that looks like and how to set all of that up, and then we'll go ahead and do one of those multicolor prints, and then we'll see what everything looks like. So if all that sounds good, then sit back and relax and I'll get everything ready. All right, here we are on Sunlu's website for the S4 Filadryer. And this is what it looks like. So when we get it unboxed, we'll see how much of this we have to put together. But it does say, you know, large space, fast heating, a good temperature balance throughout everything. It's supposed to eliminate stringing and different things, which we'll print a benchy and see if it does that. Universal compatibility. So there's lots of different filaments in here that can be done. It comes with a nice display, auto humidity control and everything like that, which we'll take a look at that stuff. It's supposed to be efficient and you know, up to 70 C on here for the drying. You know, some of the filaments from like bamboo say up to 80 C to dry it, but they also show, you know, what temperatures to dry different things at, and they also in the user guide show, you know, how long to dry some of these things. So you'll see that there's some differences. You know, if you're seeing any kind of stringing like this in any of your prints, then definitely dry that print and it should take that stuff out. And this is all the stuff that should be included. So when we unbox it, we'll take a look at that and see if we get all of this stuff with it. And other than that, let's go ahead and get it unboxed. All right, so let's get it unboxed and see what's going on. Alright, first thing that I'm going to notice on here is the build quality on this is so much better than the other ones. Yeah, and everything's put together already. It looks like all I need to do is plug it in. Let me turn it around. You guys can see the front there. Has some PTFE tubing. If you're not going to use this PTF tubing for here, it might be good for any replacements you need to do in your AMS. It's always good to have that PTF tubing around anyway. Alright, little pieces of PTFE. User guide, then our power cable. So honestly, the only thing that you would need to do is if you're wanting to run, you know, PTFE tubing out of here, it looks like there's 2 spots on each side to run that tubing through, which is pretty cool. If you want to run this to like a single color printer or something like that, they give you pretty good Pretty good size of PTFE tubing there. 2 of them. I'm not going to be using it for that. I'll just be using it just for the drying, but that's neat that it comes with that, and it's, like I said, it's always good to have that in there. So really it looks like the only assembly is to plug it in and then start loading some filaments. So let me get this thing plugged in, and I'll load a couple, and I'll get a couple filaments for it. So the first thing you'll want to do is insert your PTFE tubing if that's the way that you're going to use it. I'm not going to be using it that way, so I'm not going to do that. So the next thing to do would be to start to add some filament into the dryer here. So I happen to have 4 rolls of ABS bamboo filament, and this is the new dark colored filament roll. So all we need to do is drop those in, and they fit right in there. We're going to put 2 on this side. Shut that door. Open this door. And put 2 more rolls in there. Now the cool thing about this is these 2 rolls I've already printed stuff with before, but I've had them outside of the AMS, so they do need to be re-dried. The other 2 rolls here are brand new, and I haven't used them or dried them or anything like that. So that's pretty cool. So now let's go ahead and get it shut. We'll get it turned on, and then I'll show you how to get everything set up. All right, so I flipped the switch in the back to turn it on, and then how you turn it on from there is to click on here. You'll see I already have it set to ABS, but let's go through all of the menu settings here, and how you go through those is just by hitting this set button. So the first thing that you can do is set the the value of how hot you want it to get right there. So at 55°C, as you can see there, you can adjust that if you wanted to. You hit set again, it'll change from Celsius to Fahrenheit. You hit it again. I'm guessing this is to change the brand, but it doesn't do anything when I hit it. Here you can cycle through all of the different presets. So they have PA, ABS, TPU, PETG, and you can see it has all their recommended settings for all of that. So we'll leave it on ABS. Here you can set the time on it. It recommends for ABS 55°C for 6 hours. So we'll take a look at that and see if we get any stringing on any of our prints or if it dried it out. We'll also take a look at this relative humidity whenever it's done drying as well. So after a couple of seconds of being still, it kind of goes out. And here you can set the timer. So if you do need to do it for longer or whatever, you can set it here. If you don't need to do it for as long there, you can do it there. And then you can also set the, I guess these are memory slots or whatever that you can save in there as well. So we'll leave the rest of that alone and let it go ahead and dry for the next 6 hours, and then we'll go ahead and try to print with it. So I'll see you in 6 hours. All right, so it's finished drying last night, and it's been sitting here overnight until this morning. So let's take a look at what it looks like now. We'll see that it's only 25°C inside after it has dried and everything, and it looks like the relative humidity is right at 30%, which is what it states the lowest that it can maintain the humidity in here. All right, so now that I'm guessing, there we go. You have to press it twice, I guess, to turn it off. So I guess it keeps the humidity right around 30% after it dries everything like that. So let's go ahead and take one of these rolls out, or a couple of these rolls out, and load it in the AMS, and we'll see how it prints. All right, here we are in Bamboo Studio with two benchies loaded in here. So let's go ahead and change one of them to the yellow by pressing 2 on our keyboard when it likes it. There we go. And we could totally print this just like this and print two ABS benchies right here. But doing it this way would take half a day, I'm sure. Yeah, 11 hours and 50 minutes. So there is a better way for us to do that. So let's go back into prepare. If we go into others, and then right here under print sequence, if we do by object, it will print one object and then print the other. There does need to be a certain space around these when you do that. The easiest way to get that is to just hit the alignment thing here, so it'll align itself. And now we have two separate objects, and it'll print one of these objects. Then it'll flush the filament and do all of that. Then it'll print the other object. And that saves quite a bit of time. We'll see here from 11 hours and 50 minutes to 2 hours and 50 minutes, basically. So saved a ton of time by doing that. And we can test two of these filaments at a time. So what we're going to look for to make sure that it's dry is any of these overhangs here, this circle here, this place here, this little circle over here. If the filament isn't dry, we would see stringing in all of these different places, right? In the windows, the door, across here, and everything like that. So we'll print both of these out and pay attention to see if there's any stringing or anything like that that goes on in here to see if the filament is dry. So while these are printing, I'll get the next test set up. So let's go ahead and print the plate. We don't want to use flow dynamics on the 3D prismatic plates. I did do a little bit more research on that, as well as under the device HMS, it is also showing an error with inconsistent results from the LiDAR. So if you're using the 3D prismatic plates, you can turn the flow dynamics calibration off. I've already started printing these. So you see that it says the printer is busy. But here is how you set those up to print. And now let me get it set up for the next test that we'll run. All right, so the next thing that we're gonna test is to see if we can actually tell whether or not the filament has been dried. So if we think about this, if we're drying the filament, then water has to come out of it, right? So I ran across this on the community forum about the water loss test, and this person went through and dried a whole bunch of filaments and weighed it before and after to see how much water loss there was. So I thought that was a pretty good idea. You'll see that a lot of these are 20 hours, 12 hours, and I don't see a ton of difference between the two of these here. So I think we'll go with first, we'll go with the recommendation of Sunlu on drying filament. And then if we don't see any results on that, then we'll try to measure it for longer. But what I thought we would do is take a brand new roll of PLA Galaxy that I just got. I got the purple, so we'll take that roll. And we'll take another roll of PLA Basic that I have, just some normal stuff. We'll weigh both of the rolls with the filament and everything on there, and then we'll dry them for the recommended time and see if they change in weight to see if any water has been removed. And then we'll take a look at maybe doing it for longer if we don't see any of the results. So I didn't see Galaxy on here, but I did see quite a bit of the PLA, PLA Black. After 12 hours, it only lost 1 gram. After 20 is only 2. But does look like some of the color ones may be a little bit different, or maybe it's the batch of these that you get that may be different. So let's go ahead and grab 2 brand new rolls of filament, and I'll get I'll get something to weigh them with, and we'll go ahead and take a look at what that looks like. All right, so while the benchies are printing, let's go ahead and measure these 2 brand new rolls of filament and see what they weigh before and then after. So this is some PLA matte. And we'll see 1265 grams. 1,265 grams is what that weighs. So let's take a look at the Galaxy. And there is the purple Galaxy if you haven't seen that yet. So let's go ahead and set that down. And we have 1,246 grams. So now let's go ahead and load those in the two slots that I opened up with the 2 rolls of ABS that I took out. And then let's put it on the PLA cycle, let it go through that, and then we'll weigh these again to see if there's any difference. So let me get the dryer set up and I'll see you there. All right, so let's get it set up to dry PLA. So we'll go here, click our set button till it goes to the filament type. Set it to PLA. We'll see that it changed the temperature to 50 and for 6 hours. So we'll go ahead and let this dry for 6 hours. When the benchies are done printing, we'll take a look at those. And then when this is done drying, we'll go ahead and take a look at the weight of the filament rolls. So I'll see you when these things get done.
2 Nimitz benchies printed with ABS. I used to print by object, save time and filament. I used print by object, save time and filament. I used print by object, save time and filament.
All right, so here we are done with the print, and I don't know if you can see this or not. Hopefully you can. But there is a little bit of stringing on this, and on this one you can see there's a little bit of that. So definitely did not get dried fast enough. Really should have weighed these before I started drying them like I did with the PLA. And that's a really good tip. Learn from this video is weigh your filament before you dry it to make sure that you've got the moisture out. So now, you know, it'll be kind of hard to tell how much moisture I need to pull out of these each time. But this would be the you know, warning signs that you're going to get that things aren't going well for you on that. So make sure you pay attention to that, and we'll definitely dry this filament for another probably 12 hours, and we'll weigh it before and after. Even though we've already dried it for 6 hours, we'll weigh it before and after and dry it for another 12 hours once we get done with the PLA that's in there now. And then we'll print 2 more benchies. So let's wait for the PLAs to get done so we can weigh those, and then we'll weigh these filaments and get them drying again. So I'll see you when it gets done. All right, so the filaments are done drying, so let's see what they weigh now. So let's start with the PLA mat, and that one was 1,265. All right, 1,264, so it lost 1 gram. Let's look at the Galaxy. Wow, so that lost almost 3 grams by that much of drying, 1,243, and it originally was 1,246. So as you can see, this dried quite a lot. This filament has been here in the studio just in a box for probably a month or so, so it hasn't been there very long. I just got the PLA Galaxy from Bamboo this past week. So that is interesting that it needed to dry that much. So as you can see, the Sunlu S4 really does pull the moisture out of the filaments. So now let's put the ABS back in there. and set it up for bamboo ABS. In a future video, we might look at Sunlu's ABS and see if it dries differently. So let's go ahead and take a look at the 2 rolls of ABS and see what they weigh now. All right, so right after we got done printing with it, 1,056. And now let's take a look at the yellow. And that one's 1,025. So let's get these back into the dryer, and we'll go ahead and get it set up. All right, so we got the filament loaded in here, so let's go ahead and turn this on. It's still set to PLA. I still have all 4 rolls of ABS in there. So let's just go ahead and set this custom. And now, so for the bamboo ABS, they recommend 80C for like 12 hours. The highest this will go is 70, so we'll go with that. And then for the, and of course that changed that. And then for the time, let's set that for 12 more hours. Okay, so let's set that for 12 hours, let it do its thing, and I'll see you when it gets done. All right, so the filament's been drying overnight, so let's take a look at what it weighs now. So let's start with the red that weighed 1,056 grams. And we'll see that it lost an additional 2 grams of water there. So that is pretty significant. So I think the different brands of filament have different levels of moisture within them. So I think it's important to take note of that. And, you know, bamboo also recommends drying this filament for a long time. So I guess that they know that there's a little bit of moisture in the filament or whatever. So we pulled an additional 2 grams out of this after drying it for 6 hours at the recommended for Sunlu, and that's probably recommended for their ABS. But it pulled an additional 2 grams. So let's see what the yellow did. So that one was 1,025 grams. And that one lost 2 to 3 more grams as well. So we did see that there is a pretty good amount of drying that still needed to be done on these before we should print. So let's go ahead and see if 6 hours at 55 and 12 hours at 70 is enough to dry these out. So I'll go ahead and get them loaded in the ABS, and we'll go ahead and print out 2 more benchies. All right, here we are back in Bamboo Studio. I didn't change anything. I left everything the same in here. So we'll go ahead and print the plate with the same settings. I am using one of the 3D effect plates, not the bamboo one, but one of the Amazon ones. So we will turn off flow dynamic calibration. We'll leave time lapse on, and we'll go ahead and send this to the printer. So I'll see you when it gets done.
Here are the finished benchies. I had to dry them quite a bit. Here are the finished benchies. I had to dry them quite a bit.
All right, so here are the 2 benchies after it's dried. There's still a little tiny bit of it there, but for the most part it's dried, and the print quality is way better than the ones from before. So thoroughly impressed with that. So what are the takeaways from today's video? First of all, the S4 from Sunlu is an amazing filament dryer. Easy to use, comes together so you don't have to put anything together. You can use it with your 3D printer if you need to, so it offers a lot of flexibility there. You can keep filament dry and everything like that. So I can't say enough good things about it. It worked really, really well. The one negative that I have is it doesn't get up to 80C for some of the filaments that recommend that. And as we saw, you know, you definitely need to dry some of these filaments. There's grams and grams and grams of, you know, water that's stuck inside of these filaments. So that takes us to the second takeaway, which is to get one of these scales and start weighing all of your filaments as you get them and dry them. And if you dry it for a couple of hours and it doesn't lose any weight, right, if the weight of it doesn't change on the scale, then you know you've taken all of the moisture out of it. And I'm going to start doing this with PLA, which I haven't done in the past. But as we saw with the Matte and the Galaxy, these definitely have some moisture in them as well. So I would definitely recommend weighing all of your filaments as they come in and drying them as well, and make sure you get all of the moisture out. And on the multicolor prints, right, if you're doing a really cool, really intricate, like 20+ hour print that's multicolor with filaments, be sure to dry it first inside of the S4 to make sure you get the best print quality that you can. You know, some of the big multicolor prints that I've done have always had like a little tiny flaw here and there. You know, it's hard to see, but most, you know, nothing is perfect. So everything has a little tiny flaw in it. And I'm wondering if it would have been even less if I would have dried the filament beforehand. And that goes for PLA as well. So those are the three takeaways. The S4 is a great filament dryer. Highly, highly recommend this one. Weigh all of your filaments as they come in and dry them, and make sure you get all of the water weight out of them. Dry everything, and you know, definitely on your multicolor print, dry everything beforehand. So I hope you enjoyed today's video and you learned something. I sure did along the way, and I hope you enjoyed coming along with me and learning at the same time. Be sure to smash that like button and hit the subscribe button so you don't miss my next video. And I'll see everybody on the next one. Thanks for watching.